Hello, I'm Chris Montera with EMS1, and I'm joined today by Tony Bradshaw with the product MARVLIS. So welcome, Tony.
Hi, how are you today?
I'm great. I am excited about MARVLIS. Tell me a little bit about the product itself.
Sure, MARVLIS is actually a suite of products, and we use it to help EMS do deployment and management of their vehicles more efficiently. And so what we do is we look at where calls are going to be. We use historical data to do that. And from that historical data, we can make a map that shows them where they need to place their vehicles, and for the next hour, where we expect calls to be. And by taking that map, using that to post their vehicles, they can get to the scene faster when a call comes in.
So it's kind of like very dynamic system status management.
It is. That's exactly what it is. It's dynamic system status management. It's doing system status management on the fly, using live data, using our vehicle locations, using that historical data, and constantly updating that. So instead of doing a plan once every quarter, you're doing a plan basically every 5 minutes and looking at your data.
So I've seen some of the maps, and the maps are really cool because they change color and basically predicting the future, if you will, of where the calls will be and what your resources are in that area. So from what I understand and how it predicts it is, if you have a resource in that area, does it turn green? Is that correct?
Well, it has a map in the background that's got red, yellow, and green areas that show where we're most likely to have calls. The red areas being the area that's most likely.
The hot spot.
The hot spot, right. Exactly. And then it shows each vehicle and how far that vehicle can actually cover within our required response time. That's the blue areas that you'll see on the map around the vehicles. And so it's looking at drive times on the roads by time of day, how fast we can drive at different times of day. At 2 o'clock in the morning, it'll be real big service areas around the vehicles. During rush hour, it'll be real small areas. And so that shows me where I've got coverage. And coverage is what's important. Can I cover the areas where I expect the calls to be? So as those vehicles are driving around, those service areas around the vehicles are showing where I've got coverage. And so managing my system becomes keep the red areas of demand covered by the blue areas of the vehicle coverage. Almost a video game.
Oh, that's really cool. So I'm a techie. I love tech. And I think it's really cool to be able to take that kind of model and apply it. So how do you have real-time traffic data that feeds into that? How do you know?
Yeah, we don't currently use real-time traffic data. What we do is we look at emergency vehicle data from your AVL and look at the historical data for time of day and day of week. So I know when rush hour is, I know how your vehicles travel. So with a red light and a siren, I might be able to go a lot faster than a semi or the trucks that they would normally use for looking at travel speeds with traffic. And so by using the AVL data from the emergency vehicles, I'm getting more realistic data.
Oh, that's great. And I assume then do you use GIS data for the mapping?
Or we're all about GIS. We're actually a GIS company. That's how we started. And so everything we're doing is based on GIS and doing that analysis on the fly. It's kind of a new thing for GIS. Most GIS analysts are looking at something and they're making a map and they're printing that out, and they might do that once a month. What we're doing is we've taken all that, made it dynamic and made it live, and we're doing that analysis on the fly.
Part of what I'm hearing is it sounds like a very robust system, but what would I expect as a return on investment for something like that for my agency?
Well, the key things are, we're about helping people to reduce response times. Okay, that's key. That's the first thing, is get to that patient in a more timely manner. But by being able to do that, it allows us to use less resources in the field and still meet our response time requirements. So where I would have an agency that's growing and getting more responses each year might have to normally add another vehicle, add all those crews. That's all very expensive. Well, by using MARVLIS and by managing and deploying their vehicles more effectively, then they don't have to add the extra vehicles. So they can save a lot of money that way.
Oh, that's great. That's excellent. So finally, as we look into the future for your company, what do you foresee as kind of how that's going to progress into 2011, 2012, 2013?
Well, we're going a couple different ways right now. One of the things we're doing is we're looking at the non-emergency transport market. So there's a lot of vehicles out there every day that are going around transporting patients from a hospital to a nursing home or to a doctor's office, those types of things, where there's no real applications that help them manage that effectively. And so what we're going to be able to do is to optimize the routing on those, look at how many transports you've got today and where they're at and how many vehicles you've got available, and help plan the most efficient route to save gasoline, to save driving and wear and tear on your vehicles, and also to meet your customers' requirements more effectively, so you're getting there on time and you're not having a lot of late calls. And the other thing we're doing is we're taking the MARVLIS that we're doing now and starting to apply that to law enforcement and looking at how law enforcement can be more effective when they're out patrolling and patrolling the right areas. If we can tell them where the crime's going to be, just like we're doing with EMS, telling them where the incidents are going to be, then they can go out and they can patrol more effectively. And so we can help them to save money and at the same time prevent crime or get better arrest records on the crimes that's happening.
There was a police commissioner in New York City that did that a couple years ago under Rudy Giuliani, and they created this idea that you have a community policing model and you deploy police cars and police units where you assume that the next call is going to be. So that's actually really
right. That was a gentleman named William Bratton, and he later on went to Los Angeles and had very, very good results in Los Angeles as well. And what he was doing was called CompStat, and they do it once a week or once every other week. It varies at different sites. And what we want to do is we want to take that dynamic and make that more live, like what we're doing with EMS. We think we can be very effective with that.
Well, that's great. Thank you very much. Very exciting news, and I can't wait to look at MARVLIS again.
Thank you. Appreciate it.